Hello aspirants, welcome to Vishnu IAS Academy. Hope you're all doing well. This is Pavni. In continuation of the series of the analysis of prelims previous year questions, this is going to be the second part of the analysis. Okay, so these questions are from 2023 UPSC previous year questions, which we will be discussing today. Okay, come. What is the question? Which of the following organisms perform waggle dance for others of their kin to indicate the direction and distance to a source of their food? Did you understand the question? There is certain group of insects that will be performing waggle dance, a peculiar dance called as waggle dance. Why do they perform it? In order to indicate the direction as well as distance to their food sources for their other group to follow them. Okay, what is that insect? Is the question that has been asked. What are the options given? Butterflies, dragonflies, honeybees and wasps. Okay, so for this explanation, let's see what this waggle dance is. What is waggle dance? Waggle dance is a unique kind of communication that is performed by honeybees. Okay, in order to communicate about the distance as well as about the source of the food. Okay, the communication with which honeybees communicate with each other is through waggle dance. Okay, so honeybees possess one of the most complicated examples of non-human communication. Not only humans, all the other creatures of the nature have their own way of communicating with each other. Isn't that so? We people are blessed with language, but they will be having their own communication, be it gestures, dance forms, howling, okay, making sounds, etc., etc. Okay, so one among them is the performance of this dance. Okay, the movement of the dance, the direction in which they are dancing, etc., will be the gestures that can be recognized by their set of, okay, their set of organisms, and they will follow them. Similarly, ants also, we might be very much aware of the ants moving on in a same line. Isn't that so? Why does the ant that follows the other one doesn't go out of the track? Have you ever thought of it? Because the ant that leads the entire team will be releasing a chemical known as formic acid, and that formic acid will be recognized by the remaining ants and they will be following the same path. That is why all the ants will be seen going in the same line. Okay, that is an excellent way of communication for ants. When it comes to honeybees, they follow this waggle dance anamata, which is a very, very complex form of communication. Why is it complex? Because, see, we'll see it. Through this waggle dance, they can tell each other where to find resources such as food, water or nest sites with a physical waggle dance. Okay, with using this waggle dance, they will be communicating about resources, food resources one, okay, resources like food, water as well as nesting sites, safe place for nesting their honey beehives, I mean to say. Okay, the dance points recruits in the correct direction and tells them how far to go by repeatedly circling around in a figure 8 pattern centered around a waggle run in which the bee waggles its abdomen as it moves forward. What is meant by waggling actually? Waggling means it is moving continuously in short directions, either up and down or in sideways. Okay, so honeybees, you know what they do is that they will continuously keep on moving their abdomen either ups and downs or in sideways. Okay, by doing this kind of waggling movements, they will be giving directions to the bees that will be following for the food sources or water sources or for the nestling sources as well. Okay, how do they perform this dance? The main bee or the elder bee among the group will be waggling in the number 8 direction. Okay, in the number 8 direction continuously, and with the speed of which it is, you know, waggling around, the remaining bees will recognize and they will follow it. Okay, and with the waggling speed, it will be able to convey the distance of the food source, and based on that, these honeybees, the remaining honeybees, will follow this. This is an excellent and a very complex form of communication which the honeybees communicate with each other. Okay, dances are pursued by potential recruits. Recruits means special honeybee or the experienced recruiter. Bees that closely follow the dancer to learn where to go to find the communicated resource. Okay, in order to follow that bee, the original bee which will be dancing, or the experienced or the elder bee which will be dancing, there will be special recruiters from the group of the bees that will be following it, thereby going to the resource. Okay, so that means this waggle dance is particular to honeybees. So the answer is honeybees. Answer is honeybees. Okay, next question. Consider the following statements. So this is regarding mushrooms. This entire question is regarding mushrooms only. What is the question? Some mushrooms have medicinal properties. Some mushrooms have psychoactive properties. Some mushrooms have insecticidal properties, whereas some mushrooms have bioluminescent properties. How many of the above statements are correct? Okay, only one statement, only two statements, only three statements, or all the four statements are correct is the question being asked by the UPSC. So the answer is, first of all, what are mushrooms? Mushrooms are nothing but, mushrooms belong to a special category of organisms known as fungi. Okay. These fungal organisms play extremely important role in cleaning the earth by decomposing all the litter, okay, that has been fallen down from the plants. Okay, be it mostly they will be decomposing plants, especially in the tropical forest where there is heavy litter. These mushrooms are of uttermost important. Without these mushrooms, the litter can't be cleaned up, and that will again create ecological imbalance. Okay, so these are a special group of organisms that fall under the category of fungi. Okay, so now if we see these four properties of the mushrooms, yes or no will be concluded by you within few minutes. See, some mushrooms have medicinal properties. Mushrooms are known for their medicinal properties. Yes, some of the mushrooms are very good in medicinal properties and have been used in traditional medicine for centuries. Okay, so with this you can say that option 1 is correct. Yes, mushrooms are having medicinal properties. Okay, they contain bioactive compounds that have various health benefits and therapeutic uses. Okay, so medicinal properties having mushrooms will be used for treating some diseases, which is very true. And second statement, some mushrooms have psychoactive properties. Psychoactive properties means which can activate the mental health of a person, or which can activate the brain of a person, which can activate the brain performance of a person, just like caffeine does to our brain immediately after having caffeinated drinks, be it coffee or any other cool drinks. Okay, certain types of mushrooms such as psilocybin mushrooms contain psychoactive compounds like psilocybin and psilocin. These are the components that are present in the psychoactive mushrooms. What are those? Psilocybin and psilocin. Okay, these compounds can alter perception, cognition and mood when ingested. So there will be these compounds, they will be impacting the brain and its function by impacting its perception function. Okay, by impacting the cognitive function of the brain, also by impacting the mood of a person when these mushrooms are taken. Okay, so that means yes, some mushrooms are also having psychoactive properties. So by which we can say that the second statement is also true. Now third statement, some mushrooms have insecticidal properties. We'll see whether this is true or false. Certain mushrooms produce natural insecticidal compounds. For example, the fungus Beauveria bassiana is known for its insecticidal properties and is used as a biocontrol agent against various insect pests. Okay, insecticides, which those things or the chemicals that are capable of killing the insects are said to be insecticides. Okay, yes, some mushrooms are having the properties of insecticides. Okay, so what are those mushrooms? The fungus Beauveria bassiana is the type of the mushroom which is said to have the insecticidal properties on matter. So hence they will be using as biocontrol agents or bioagents directly, which can control the insects. Okay, so that means statement 3 is also correct. Coming to statement 4, some mushrooms have bioluminescent properties. What is meant by bioluminescence? The ability of the organism to emit the light of its own is said to be the bioluminescent. Generally, these kind of properties can be seen in those organisms dwelling in the darker environments where there is no penetration of light. Example, deep sea. So we cannot see any light in the deep seas, and that's so most of the organisms staying or dwelling, habitating in the deep sea are of bioluminescent in nature. That is, they will be exhibiting their own light so that they can be aware of their environment. Okay, so that is said to be the bioluminescent. Okay, but even some mushrooms are also capable of emitting their own light, which is a property called as bioluminescent. Bioluminescent mushrooms are rare, but yes, they do exist. They can emit light through a chemical reaction, usually involving the enzyme luciferase. Okay, there will be an enzyme present in certain category of mushrooms known as luciferase, and this enzyme is responsible for the emission of light from those mushrooms, which keep them shining during night time. Okay, this property is seen in certain species of mushrooms such as Mycena and Penilius genera. These are the two species of mushrooms in which you can see the property of bioluminescence. So hence statement 4 is also correct. So what is the answer? All 4. All the 4 statements regarding this mushrooms are correct. Clear? And now third question. Consider the following statements regarding Indian squirrels. Okay, this is also related to biodiversity. What are the 3 statements given regarding Indian squirrels? They build nests by making burrows in the ground is the first statement. They store their food materials like nuts and seeds in the ground. They are omnivorous. These are the 3 statements, and the question is, which among the following statements are true? Only one statement is true among them, 2, all the 3, or none of the statements is true, is the question posed. Okay, if we see the explanation of this, see, when it comes to the Indian squirrels, generally these squirrels are native to the India only. Okay, and they will be seen south of Vindhyan mountains extending to Sri Lanka also. Okay, first statement is they build nests by making burrows in the ground. Okay, is the first statement. If we see the explanation of this, when it comes to the habitat of these Indian squirrels, they mostly prefer to live in the forests, and that too tropical forests, mangroves. Okay, and they can also be seen in the gardens, isn't that so? You might have come across them, and they are seen even in the parks also. Okay, so they can be living both in the human habitats, in parks and gardens, as well as in the forests, tropical forests and mangroves also. And mostly they prefer to live on the trees by nestling. They prefer to nest on the trees mostly. Very rarely they try to go for the burrows. So that means first statement is wrong. Generally they don't make nests by making burrows in the ground, because they generally do prefer living on the trees or above the ground itself most of the time. So first statement is wrong. What is the second statement? They store their food materials like nuts and seeds in the ground. Yes, it is true, because generally the squirrels, you know, they'll be storing, they are very protective about their food, because they are worried about the winter months, because winter months will be they'll be suffering with food scarcity during winter season. That is what they do, is that they collect all these nuts and seeds during the available season itself, and they store them in the burrows by digging holes in the ground. Okay, in order to have them during the winter season when they suffer with the scarcity of food. So that is why the second statement is true. They store their food materials like nuts and seeds in the ground is true. What is the third statement? They are omnivorous. What is meant by omnivorous? Those animals which have both vegetarian as well as non-vegetarian food together. So let's see. Yes, squirrels are omnivorous. They feed both on fruits, seeds and nuts, and also at times on some small insects, okay, and babies of the birds most of the times, and also they'll be feeding on small worms also. So which means that occasionally they'll switch on to non-vegetarian food as well as vegetarian food also, but mostly they prefer having these fruits, nuts and seeds only. But at times if it is available for them, they'll be feeding on non-vegetarian food like insects, small worms, larvae and babies of the birds, etc. and so on. Okay, so that means third statement is also correct, which is they are omnivorous. So the answer is only 2 statements, because this and this are correct, whereas this is wrong. Okay, on this note, I hope it will be useful for you, and we'll be coming up with another series. We'll meet in another series tomorrow. All the best. Bye.